Captain's Log Supplemental.
Hey Jeremy, you know those race cars you're busy building?
Yeah, I do. I
You,
got one
you,
that I'm looking at every day.
you know what I don't see you working on?
You don't see me working on the amazing Sentinel system yet.
That's true. It would take all of 10 minutes for you to have one.
And it's very quick and easy to install.
It is. It is. And we could watch you when we are not at the race with you and see how you're doing. And then we can call you up when you get out of the car and tell you everything you did wrong.
And I love that because so many years I've been driving and not been able to see what I'm doing.
I know.
And now we can.
I know. You know what I'd like to do with the video? My most favorite thing is I take the video and I load it on YouTube and then I send it to my coach and say, look at 26 minutes and 17 seconds. Look at this one lap and tell me what I can do better. And every single time, you know what they say?
Everything.
Exactly. Precisely. So with the Sentinel system, you get instantaneous feedback plus useful feedback that unfortunately is accurate for my driving.
I think it's accurate for all of our driving.
Pretty much. Yeah, that's probably true. Yep. But you need to get one in your car, sir.
Yes, I do. And with the discount code that you're going to tell everybody, they can save 10% on this awesome system.
Yep. Trouble free. I haven't had an issue getting video every time we've gone out with the Sentinel. It's always worked. Can't say the same for some of the other systems we've tried. So I don't know. It's on the podcast notes down there. Don't do it while you're driving, though. We like to have our listeners live. It's good.
From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode. My name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
I'm Vicky. I'm Jen.
You are Miss Vicky.
Sit up with me.
Miss Vicky.
Yes.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay, we have a guest.
Yes.
We do. I think at the NJMP race, they had one of your favorite themes ever.
Oh my gosh. It was so good. It was so good.
It was very good. And they have one of my favorite cars ever.
Yes.
Speaking as a person who, not relative to our guest, but I have several of these things. I think I've had every generation now that I think about it. And very cool. Anyway, from the amazing theme, which may become a team name, Italian Job, Mike Marzo. Welcome to the podcast, Mike.
Thank you guys for having us. For having me. Appreciate it.
You are multiple people, apparently.
Apparently.
So we saw you guys pull in. This was pre costume dress up. And you had a car. It was a very cool car. I have a lot of minis. And I walk up to people and I'm like, you're racing minis. We've been trying to get people who race minis on the podcast all the time. And this lovely lady says, he makes these things run all day. That's all he does. Is that all you do? Is that all
That's
you
all
do?
I do. I as I always say, if you're the one guy that works in the car that no one likes, you're always busy. So I bought my first one in 2004. I custom built it. I waited for it to come across the boat, the whole thing. Still have that car to this day. That's the car you saw in the bay. I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And I dug into it full tilt and still doing it today.
And now you do it for a job.
I do it as a hobby now, believe it or not. It's my
Really?
after work job.
Oh, that's your second job. That's your
Yeah,
bonus
Yeah.
job.
yeah.
Ah, well, you know, having observed minis, I have this plan. I had a mini set to go for one lap of America, and I may call you because I want to go all the way. I don't want to do half a lap of America. I want to do the whole lap.
I
So,
get you
but
sorted.
I think it'll make it. I think it will. It's a R50 first gen, no turbo, no, sorry, no
So
supercharger.
base Cooper, yeah.
Yeah,
R50.
yeah. So what's it like racing minis? There's good
It's
stuff.
I always say minis are a lot of fun. You're never gonna scare a Porsche in the straightaway, but you're gonna scare them in every turn. It's one of those.
Oh,
They are they are a handful to deal with in the corners. They're just fast enough to be a lot of fun, but they're not. You're not so close to the line or the edge of like danger that when something goes wrong, you're dead.
Right.
You're on a 911 and it swings around on you. You're in some 400 or 500 horsepower or something, whatever, rear wheel drive, and it snaps on you and it comes around. A mini, it's simple, it's controlled, it's very easy to manage, and they make for great fun cars. I've had that blue car on track off and on past 20 years I've had it. And every instructor gets in this, man, this is a lot of fun, this little car. It's like, yeah, it's not a rocket ship. It's not going to oh my gosh, I'm setting the track record. But like when you get to the turns, you're like, man, this thing is tits.
Mm-hmm.
wow. So what year is it?
Mine is so the one I raced, my first one that I bought,
The one that you put on the racetrack.
that one is an '03, a late '03. Yeah.
Okay.
It had about 200 and I want to say 240,000 miles on it. It was I got it from a friend of mine who he had put about 5 motors in it because he drove it like he stole it everywhere he went, never took care of the thing. Uh,
I don't know anybody like that.
yeah, and I got the car because it was hurt, and he was just like, "I'm tired of dealing with this thing. Do you want it?" And I was like, I want everything, but let's talk about a price. And he gave me a price I couldn't turn down. I knew what was in the car, and I was like, in parts, that car's worth twice as much. So
Hmm.
I bought it as that's going to be my track rat, so I don't have to take my nice car out. And the longer you race on track, the more chances something happens. And if something happens to my good car, I'm going to be very upset. So I was like, I'll do something with this. And then a handful of things happened. It sat in my driveway for 2 years and never got the chance to do anything with it. And then this lemons thing came up, and I was like, I have the car.
Right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Indeed.
amazing.
Not very many minis. Not very many minis. God,
Say that a
never.
couple times.
Not very many minis have done well in lemons. We have some friends who have one, and they struggled for Group B for many times, many times, many. I don't something. Well, they had more trouble with it than I had saying it, so that's all I'm saying. So
Oh,
They're
God.
very particular cars, and they have a lot of idiosyncrasies to them. And once you get to know them, they're not bad, but you have to know them before you get started with them. And I've gotten to the point now that I can. I mean, the whole reason this all started was it's the one car that I know inside and out. Like I could take one of them apart in my sleep, and it was if something happens, I can fix it. That was the whole if it breaks, and it's probably going to at some point, I can fix it. And it did.
I remember
So what
I was walking over to help because we hate seeing cars in the garage. We want them out on the track. So I'm walking over to help, and I'm like, "Hey, do you guys need anything?" He's like, "No, just leave him alone. He's got it." I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Gosh.
throwing elbows.
I was like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm backing away. I'm backing away."
So what are some of the idiosyncrasies, the main ones, and some of the main weaknesses of those cars?
There are things like the crank dampeners on them, the belt drives on them are real finicky. You got to really bulletproof those. Being aware of the health of the supercharger is critical. There's a
Okay.
lot of internet lore about changing the oil in the chargers, which is kind of horseshit. Um, I've my personal car, my first car is still on its first charger at 267,000 miles. It still runs great. It's I drive that thing here to California if I could right now. Um, it's it's one of those things when they start to fail, there's no fixing them. No matter how many times you change your oil or whatever you do, it's a seal that it fails internally, and then the PTO, the back of the thing will seize up and die, and then you don't have a spinning water pump and the thing overheats. So
That's
that's
less.
the big catch-22 on that is nobody catches that in time. Everybody, hears the noise, they change the oil. It's like, oh, it's still busted. Well, it was going to do it either way. Um, uh, Thus far, I mean, as far as like race proving it, I couldn't tell you a whole lot because again, this is the first time I've ever like really tracked a car. I've done a lot of HPD stuff, some street stuff here and there, but like this is the first time I've actually been able to really get into one and like really push it, and it did well. Aside for our one little hiccup, which was not the car's fault, it was an installation error.
Oh, I can do that.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna cover minis in detail a little bit later, but that was kind of a preview. That's okay. What got you looking to get out on the track? Is it kind of a long term, always wanted to, or
Always wanted to. It's I grew up in a family of cars. My dad had a small repair shop, doing auto body, and I just like the mechanical more. And just I grew up with a Herbie the Love Bug fan, so it was always like the on track thing. And when I got my Mini, it was the first car that I ever had that was decent. Uh, it worked well, and it was like you heard rumors of like this. Oh, you can go on track. You can go to like the HPD days, and I did one of those. I was like, man, this is a lot of fun. I really want to do more of this. And just, having something that handled that well and drove that well, it's like you really want to keep pushing it and seeing where the line is and really start to figure it out. And that's what kind of started it. And I had done a lot of track events, or I should say HPE events, some autocross here and there, not a whole lot. And I wanted to get into it more and more, but I was never quite sure how to do it. And I heard about lemons, and I was always fascinated by it. I like the kind of like, as I always like to say, it's the whole point of lemons is we're just taking a piss. Like if you're here for the trophy, you're in the wrong spot. And I kind of like the idea. And it was always like one of these days I'm going to do it. And then the opportunity came up, and I was like, now, like I want to see if I can get enough people dumb enough to do this with me so I could build the car.
there's lots of dumb people. You don't have to look very far.
Yeah, as I found out.
So how hard was it for you to talk everybody else into it?
It was. I thought it was going to be real hard, and it turned out to be real easy. I had the idea, like as soon as the schedule came out for 24, I saw that this, like I wanted to go to this race last year and just see, because I just wanted to see what a lemon race was all about. I had always watched all the catch-up videos and just thought it was great. And I was like, in 23, I was like, I'm going to go at least watch a race. I'm going to see what's going on. And I missed it. I was in the garage. I was working on stuff, whatever it was. And this year I looked at it, and it came on my birthday. And I was like, if that's not a sign to do this, I don't know. So it was like, first it was like, talk to the wife. Like, I have this terrible idea that I want to do. And she's like, if you get enough people to do it, go for it. So that was step one. And then I just put it out there to the local mini club. And a couple of my buddies, I was like, listen, I have this dumb idea. I want to do this lemons race. Does anybody else want to do it with me? Like, here's what I think it's going to cost. Here's what I think, like, here's where we're at. Does anybody want to do it? And I think I put it up on like a Wednesday, maybe Tuesday. I put it out there, and I didn't hear anything till like Friday night. One guy signed up, and I was like, okay, maybe if I was hoping for 10 so I could add enough funds to build the car and get things rolling. Then it was like, if I get 5, we can probably make this work. And by Sunday night, I had 11 people wanted to sign up. So I was like, all right, now we have the team. Let's get it going.
It's the perfect lemons team. They're dumb and slow.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So basically the rest of your team is also familiar with racing before they started. No.
With minis.
So you're the only one that's been HPDEing.
So on the team, out of everyone on it, I think 2 other guys had done HPD days before they signed up for this event.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. It was everybody.
So how stoked were those guys?
They were marginally, pissing themselves, marginally freaking out. Like it was, I was signing up for like every HPD. Like, guys, you should get on, just get on track. Get on track with the car at speed, because otherwise, like, you're going to be in a pack and you're really going to freak out. Because there's one thing to be at speed. It's one thing to be door to door with everybody. And then it's a whole other animal. So
it's just like we said, just like driving in New Jersey.
Yeah. As my
just
buddy
a little less fingers.
It's like aggressive commuting is how he put it.
Aggressive commuting. That's Jersey. That's definitely going through Rahway.
Yeah. So it was, we had gotten everybody together, got the team together, and a couple of us had gone out, done a couple of events at Lightning, and then we did a couple of Thunderbolt. I had taken the car to a handful of HPD events just to shake it down, just because, like, I started building the car in December, and it was like, by maybe late April, I think I had the thing roadworthy. It's like, let's see what it does. I took it to its first autocross, and it threw a rod bearing. We found out what the noise
Oh, good thing you
was.
got it out of the way.
Yeah, we got it so we got that done the week before the race. The Sunday before, the husband and wife team that was on with us, they took the car to Thunderbolt to drive it, and on the third session broke one of the rear shocks.
Oops.
So yeah, like we shook it down before, so we didn't have that problem on track, so we're good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said minis are your second job. What's the first job?
I work at a tree company called Asplin Tree Expert.
I know them. I'm a Jersey boy.
So I work down in their main office down in here in Willow Grove.
No,
So I have an office gig now down there.
Cool.
I've been there since 2020. Before that, I was a tech working on minis nonstop.
So you came by it honestly then. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you drive anything besides minis?
No.
Job well done.
Well, I should say I've got a 1954 Chevrolet wagon.
Mhm.
I have a 1994, or did I say 54 or 94?
I think you said 54.
Chevy. I have a 94 K truck and the tow rig, which is the Bourbon. That's, my wife has a CRV. I drive that as little as possible. But other than that, it's, whatever mini's in the driveway. I'm currently driving a 2010 Clubman that I bought off a customer. That's been kind of my honey badger. I've got a 2012 that I'm driving just to shake it down to see why it's acting up. It just depends. My poor blue car spends more time parked than it does driving anymore because I got so many other cars to play with. But it's usually always mini.
It's a good problem to have, though. That's not too
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
So you're still relatively early on in your pursuit of stupidity. I mean, racing. And any bucket list tracks or races or cars? Obviously minis, but
I mean, just anything I get my hands on right now. I mean, I got to do the Glen a couple years back in the mini, and that was like, so it's the first time I went out there. That was a wild track to be on. It's just a wild track. But I mean, right now it's just seat time. I just want to get in anywhere I can.
Good plan.
I have a lot of friends that do a lot of racing, a lot of friends that are very knowledgeable in like the racing world that I just have no idea of. I was never around it as a kid. I think in high school I found the SCCA and I wanted to sign up for it. My dad's like, you're not doing that garbage. Yeah, that kind of thing. He hated cars. So it was a good thing he was in the car industry.
Yeah, it seems like most people who are in the car industry hate cars. Just seems to be that way. So, with that, you seem to have an unending appetite, which we love to hear. Do you have any plans for future learning or future growth as a driver?
I mean, I'm just taking it as it comes right now. We have currently signed up with one of the other teammates and 3 other guys to go to Thompson for Lemons. So we'll be up there.
We'll see you there.
We'll be there. We're not going to come out in full-fledged like we did in Jersey. This is just we just want to get some track time in.
Well, then forget about it.
We got a little hurt after the last one. Like that one stung a little bit. Not one of the Halloween meets Gasoline. We really wanted that bad.
It was
big. Really sucked.
There was a bunch of good ones though. It was tough.
Yeah, there was a lot of people.
There was a lot of good ones, but the one we lost to was just like, I don't understand how we lost to it. Like, it was like, this is stupid.
I think it was the excrement in the judges area that pushed it over the top.
Really? That's
It's never been done before.
Hopefully with the smell, it won't be done again soon.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Well, we'll be out there and it'll be fun. We can have some good times out there with you guys. What was keeping you from getting on the track when you were looking to but hadn't done it? Is it just not knowing you could, or?
Yeah, it's just the not sure how to get started with it, not sure where to go, and never really had the right setup. And I probably still don't, but I mean, to really like get out there and start doing it. It was always when you're a tech working on a small shop, you can't just take a day off because the shop's waiting on you.
Right.
So it's a lot harder to get something done, and a lot of things just, stretching everything real thin to get everything done. So it just wasn't an option earlier. and I'm in a better spot now. So let's do it.
Yeah, sometimes life's in the way, sometimes knowledge is in the way, sometimes just a lot of people don't even realize it's possible. Like they're like, no, well, I can't do that. I'm just a normal human, and I'm sitting there going, no reason you can't do it. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
not too bad. Very cool. So you mentioned earlier you have a mini club. Which mini club do you partake in?
So phillymini.org, if you want to look it up. We are one of the oldest mini clubs in the country. We started in 2003. And it's been through several iterations between different presidents, different events. Um, it's been a pretty that club has changed my life in a big way. Just from the running joke that I tell my friends is when I started in that club, you wouldn't know I was in the room. Like I was just very like shy, like I'll just stay in the corner and I'll watch everything. And my buddy's like, "The fuck? What do you mean? Everybody knows you when you walk into the room."
Things
So
change.
it pulled me out of my shell. It really got me kind of involved, and it was a lot of fun. So I owe a lot to that club, and I really enjoy it. They have runs. Now we're in kind of the heyday. They have about 2-3 events a month where they actually go out and drive their cars. When I was working for one shop, there was a guy that was big in the BMW scene down here, but it was like whenever they went to a BMW event, it was like everybody go to the big mall, sit in the parking lot, bullshit, go in to get something to eat, and leave. And it's like in
Yep.
our club, we start at some point and then we end at some point. How we get there, there's one run. It takes us 3 hours to get from the start to the finish, and they are a quarter mile apart.
Directions are difficult sometimes. It's fine.
So it's a good time. It's a really really enthusiastic club. It's a lot of fun. It's very don't take yourself too seriously because you're in a mini. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like nobody's like, mine's bigger than yours. Mine got more horsepower. Everybody, what did you do to yours? I did this. I did that. Everybody's really cool about it. It's a lot of fun. It's a really, really good group of people. It's a good time.
Excellent. Because the BMW club up by here, we I don't know, do we still have a BMW? Yeah, we have a race car BMW, I guess. Um, it's like one of those car show things, and I'm just
Yeah.
like with pizza. I'm like, I can get pizza. I want to go drive,
Yeah. I want
or
to
I want to
enjoy the
go.
vehicle. Yeah.
I want to go to a track or something or an autocrosser. Give me some activity, not just
Yeah.
hey, look
Yeah.
at that. This one's shiny. Oh wait, this one's shiny.
You have an engine too?
Look at that. This one comes with an engine. Who knew? I mean, granted, if you see a V10 that's still working, that's something that you can be impressed by. But there's not many of those. But anyway, that's different. That's a BMW story. So
Mhm.
so let's do minis. We've got three generations or four.
3 generations right now.
Three generations right now. I can't tell if they're going to make the new one a fourth, but we'll see.
They are. That's going to be an all electric car.
Yeah, disappointing, but that's
Yeah.
okay. So you've got three generations, and then you've got two iterations of each generation. You've got first generation was naturally aspirated
6.
supercharged, and then there was naturally aspirated. God, I can't talk today. Good thing I have a podcast.
He's
And
tripping
then
over his tongue.
and then turbocharged for the other two, right?
Yep.
Am I doing so far?
Then the third gens are turbo,
Turbo.
3-cylinder, 4-cylinder.
Oh, I don't count the three cylinder. Okay, I'll remember those. That's fine. Whatever. So if you were to talk to a potential mini person, how would you guide them?
I tell everybody the same thing, and I usually end up telling this story to somebody who's had the car and they've taken it to 12 different people. No one can figure out what's wrong with it, and they're tired of putting money into it, which is minis are, if you enjoy the driving experience, minis are great. They are rewarding. They're always fun. They're peppy. You're buzzing out of traffic. It's small. It's light. You can throw it around. It responds well. But it's a BMW product, and it always costs you money.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you like any BMW product, and you stay ahead of them, they're great. If you get behind on them, they bury you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the problem of them. They also run into the issue of parts with these cars is a very touchy subject because everybody has parts, and not all of them are good. So
Right.
you can buy brand new
Ooh.
parts. And, I just had a customer 2 weeks ago. It's been missing. It's been doing this and that and the other thing. And I just, said, when's the last time we put plugs and coils in it? Oh, about 3 months ago. Okay. And I'm looking, bring it up. Let me look at it. And as soon as I look at it, I'm like, I don't trust these coils. So what do you mean? I'm like, they're brand new. They're Bosch. I was like, I don't trust them. Like that, there's a reason I don't trust them because they don't work in this car. They don't play well together. And he changed his brand. He went to FCP, got a new set, got the right brand, and the thing's running like a top now. And it's just
We have a friend who strongly believes in order to make his car run is Honda parts for Honda cars, if you can find them. Is that true with Mini? That just runs best if you can get, is it OEM?
I would say
right?
you use OE level parts.
Right.
So versus like um
Don't cut corners.
there are manufacturers that produce for Mini. There are manufacturers that produce replacing, copying the parts, and the copies never seem to last. Now, in the same respect, there's in the first gens, there's a very common issue of the strut top bearings in them. It's that rubber encapsulated with the bearing in it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody and their mother makes them. None of them work. There was one brand that worked, and I had them in dozens of them here because I'd replace them every week. And then all of a sudden I noticed those started failing.
Ooh.
Like I put a set in my car and 2 days later they were bad.
Wow.
And it's like, okay, now these are, and I looked at the box, made in China. I was like, well, these are no longer any good. So then I had to find the next one, and I found the next brand that works, and they're still made in the UK, and they work better now. But you really got to know what to use in them. And there's a lot of internet lore in these cars because it was in 2002, message boards were all the rage, and there's so much information out there, and there's so much garbage out there for them. Everybody buys all these nonsense parts for them, and it's like I end up taking them off more than I end up putting them on, just because they're not necessary, or they cause more problems than they solve. So it becomes you have to find somebody who really knows what the cars want, what they need, and what they work well with. So that's the biggest hurdle with the cars. Finding a decent one is very hard anymore because, the first gens, most of the good ones are in someone's hand because they love them enough to keep them and take care of them. The second gens are all basket cases, unless you find the one that was taken care of. The third gens seem to have been a lot better. They still have their foibles, but overall they've been, I think, much more reliable. But I despise them with every part of my being.
Why?
Why is that?
I think they are they are built better. The interiors are much better. The design, like the technology in them is better, but they drive like a Honda. Like don't
be dissing Hondas.
There's nothing wrong with Honda. That's true. Like I said, wife has a CRV. They drive great. They ride like,
what?
they don't do anything wrong, and that's kind of their problem. Is it's like a washing machine. It just runs. I don't care when I get out of it. I think Adam Carolla once said it best. The CRV is the equivalent of being picked up by a hawk by the scruff of your neck and dropped off wherever you are because you didn't care how you got there. You just got there.
Right. Okay.
I get in the Mini and I hit an on ramp and I just open it up and I just scream it through 3 gears and the charger's whining at me and it's spitting and popping. And it's like, man, this is just fun. It's a good time in here. You know what I mean? It's just a little party everywhere I go. And
it's a little party wherever I go.
And that's what makes the Mini great is it's just this fun ride. And I think in every iteration, they've lost a little bit of it. The second gens were a little bit softer. They still had a little bit of it. The third gens, they got great power. They drive really nice. The technology is really good in them, but they're kind of soulless to me. They just don't have it. I feel like I'm very disconnected when I'm in it. Whereas I get in my little buzzy 53 and you get on and you can feel the charger winding up and it's screaming through the air box at you. You can feel the thing moving underneath you. It's still hydraulic power steering, so you can still get some feedback in it. You can set it up so it's twitchy. You can set it up so it's pretty neutral. It's so much more fun to be in.
Okay.
I love that story. I really do. I am so excited to go drive our Mini right now.
What do you have?
We have 2 R50s and 1 F56 now.
So what year is the 50? The
50s? 02 and 04.
Okay. I assume they're both manual?
Yeah.
And they still work?
Yeah, baby. We're going to take one on one lap.
So is that the gold one?
The gold one, yeah.
Yeah. which
So
we just
I'm gonna let you in a little secret. Those transmissions are terrible.
Oh, I know.
oh
They're glass.
But if you want to bulletproof it, you take the Cooper S, the 6-speed out of the S, and put it in there, and it turns that thing into a completely different animal. It runs like a sewing machine. It's smooth. I don't know if it's the weight of the box or the way it's built, but they just run
I feel
so
work coming.
smoothly. They just like
Well,
you have 6 speeds. They drive great, and it just feels like you're on. Like it just feels like it's run on glass.
I mean, let's talk, Mike. I got to do the
I
clutch.
feel work coming my way.
The
That's all I'm
clutch.
saying.
The clutch. I think I've okay. So I'm going to make a admission here. I've driven cars up to at least 280,000 miles for sure, and I've never worn out a clutch. So I got this Mini. It's got about 100,000 miles, and all of a sudden it won't stay in gear. Or it's in gear and I can press the gas and it just sits there and says, I don't care what you're telling me. I'm doing the same speed I want. And then eventually it decides, okay, I'll go. So somebody told me that's the clutch is worn out. Okay.
Well, if it won't stay in gear, like you mean like the stick is
It'll
popping
pop
out,
out. It'll pop out.
your synchros are busted.
Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. So if my synchros are busted, then I have to take the transmission out, right? So while I'm there, this is working out very nicely. I love this podcast. Anyway, okay. So we have a plan there. All right. So that's good because that's the one left.
And just in case you're wondering, I do have an extra conversion kit in the basement, just if you
Nah.
you happen to need one. I'm just saying.
I
I might have a transmission and axles and the shift cables and the harness and waiting, just in case.
maybe. I mean, I could go get it if I had a truck. But that's a separate story that we talked about before we started recording the podcast.
You and I are talking later.
Yeah, we are.
You and I, we gotta rein you in.
Mike,
We're setting him up for success.
Mike.
No,
She
he's
doesn't-
setting work. He's making me work.
Wait a
I'm
minute.
the
Just wait.
labor.
Just wait. Watch me get out of this. I'm not going to sleep in the bathtub thing. Mike, could you help me out? If I were to get you a gold Mini that's going for one lap, could I bring it to you and at your leisure, could you help me?
We could maybe work something out.
I think we can. Miss Vicky, zero work for you. See? Mission accomplished. Mission accomplished. I already have the clutch. If we need a new clutch, I've already got one.
You'll need an S clutch now because it's a different input shaft on the 53 box.
If I knew somebody who worked on minis, he might need a clutch and I could just give it to him. That'll be fine. So we can do that. All right, very good. All right. So that solves that. So I'm not done with minis yet, Miss Vicky.
All right.
What about before I get into my devious plot that I have that you're going to help me with, Mike? I see you as a why not as opposed to why. So classic minis, are you into classic minis at all?
I love them, but to me they're like black magic.
They are.
Like Lucas Electrical and side draft carburetors. I don't want anything to do with them. They're full of tin rot. Growing up in a body shop, I despise body work with a passion of 1,000 suns.
Why?
Body work sucks.
I'm pretty sure I had a traumatic experience as a child. So as the story goes, I was 2 or 3 years old, going to my father's shop. Mom took us over for something, and I walked into the shop. And what do you see everybody doing in a body shop? They're there with their sanding blocks on the side of the cars. So I walked up with a sanding block to my uncle's 1973 Chevrolet Nova.
Oh,
No.
no.
Just finished being painted. He was picking it up that night.
Oh.
And I walk up with the sanding block, and I must have gone like 1, 2, 3. And my grandfather grabs me by my shirt and rips me off the car, cursing and yelling at me.
Mhm.
And it took me a while to realize, like, every time I sand, I get real nervous and I get real.
He looks over
like,
his shoulder.
and I was like,
He
I
got
don't want to do this. I just don't
PTSD.
want to do this. I enjoy the mechanical too much. I don't want to do body work. I will pay somebody any amount of money to avoid body work. I don't want to do paint. I don't want to do. I'll weld, but I don't weld well. If you saw the roof on the Mini, you know that.
Body
yeah,
work was
like
invented by the
I don't do it.
devil.
So the classics to me are phenomenally cool. I love them to death, but I want nothing to do with one. I mean, the prices they get for them anyway to me are just, I can't stomach paying that much for this tin can.
Okay. All right. So I want a classic Mini for a race car. That's what I really, really want. But we can work with that. So I've got 2 questions about my John Cooper 2019. One, I was still relatively early in my HPDE career, and I took the car out to Thunderbolt, and that car was a pushing pig. It could not turn no matter what I could do. And my instructor said inside his brain, what the hell is wrong with this dude? He can't drive for anything. Can't nothing.
Yeah.
And then we switched seats, and he's like, "Oh, it's not you." And he
I
said
see
that.
what you're dealing with. Now,
He
yeah.
said, "Oh, it's not you." And I'm like, "I knew you were thinking it. I knew you were thinking it." But anyway, he wasn't. So what was going on? What do you think?
Cars are naturally set from the factory to understeer.
It was like plowing. Like
Yeah, they are built out of the factory to understeer because it's easier to control understeer than it is oversteer.
Ooh.
And well, it was except you couldn't get it to stop understeer.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So my solution was I changed the alignment a little bit, and then I changed to a much grippier than OEM tire, and it seems to be okay.
Sway bar.
Okay. All right. So
That's
here's
what you
the
do.
here's the plan. Are you familiar with something called GLTC?
No.
Okay. So there's this racing series called Grid Life, and it tends to be a younger, more fun crowd. So naturally, what I think they need is this old fart out there. And I'm thinking that this 2019 John Cooper Mini would be a spectacular GLTC car. It's a power to weight ratio class. So you have a limit, and it's right there. So what I'm thinking is, what do we have to do to take this orange Mini, put a little aero, make sure it's mechanically sound, because it's got just enough power and just enough weight that if I added a little bit to it, life would be good. What do I need to do? How do I get there?
That's a good question. I don't know the third gens that well, I'll tell you.
All right, guess what we're going to work on, sir?
Fair enough.
You and me. We're gonna talk third gen John Cooper. We're gonna put that puppy out there. It's nice. It's orange. We're gonna have to go with some type of Halloween pumpkin theme. It'll be great. It'll be fine. We're gonna be a third gen Mini GLTC.
That was a good one.
That sounds good.
Mhm.
Okay, so sir, we've talked enough about minis in general. Let's talk about your Mini. You were at NJMP. You were dressed just like a normal every business day, nothing fancy.
Normal Jersey.
Normal Jersey.
Normal Jersey.
Forget about it. You said you're supposed to
More
get dressed
more
up.
towards the upper part of Jersey.
little 201 area code there.
It was brilliant.
It was. So for the home game players, your theme.
So when I was watching all the Lemons videos, the catch-up videos, and like everybody always talks about the theme. It's like, well, you have to have a theme. You have to have a theme. And I was like, well, if I was going to do this, what would I make the theme on? And it was this like, you start like trying to just like, you got to do something creative. And it's like, what can I do? What can I do? And it's like, well, everybody, 90% of the time you walk out, you have a Mini. So like, oh, the Italian Job, Mark Wahlberg, the movie, the whole thing. And I was like, we could do something there. I was like, wait a second. What if we just do it and switch it and do the Italian Job? And I was like, this then opens the door for all of it.
So much.
All of the things. And I was like, this could be a lot of fun. And like in the back of my head, it was always just like, if I ever do it, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to do this. Like, so I had the idea. I didn't know how to execute it, but I had the idea. And so we got the team together and I got everybody together and I was like, this is what I want to do. And it was like all the wives of the team were like, oh, we got this. And so we had, a couple of ideas we were throwing at the wall. The one big thing was like, what do we do with the roof? Because, Minis are always known for a roof graphic. And I was like, we could either do like a Union Jack, but we'll do it red, white, and green versus red, white, and blue? Or do we do like the Italian tablecloth? Because I think that'd be hilarious instead of the checker and the Italian
Why does it have to be an or?
Yeah.
First rule of theming: if it's worth
So-
doing, it's worth overdoing.
Yeah. Well, I think we got that one down. But yeah, it was this brainchild of like the wives more than anything that came up with all the I'll say accoutrement. The
It's the wrong
There were
accent.
so many people in your pack.
oh yeah.
So many people.
I mean, there's 10 drivers and as many wives and your girlfriends, whatever. So, there was a lot of people and I had everybody, the club, everybody from the club was coming down. All the friends were coming down to check it out. And I was like, if you're coming, dress up. And everybody came dressed to the nines. It was great.
It was,
So were they just literally laughing at themselves when they were throwing this thing together?
Oh yeah. The whole time.
Oh my gosh.
like it
I
was-
could just imagine.
Like they're all sitting at this table and they're just like, what can we do? And like, we'd have 2 or 3 meetings, throughout the we're building the car and like all the guys would be in the garage building the car and the wives would be in here, like putting it to like, oh, we're building a ankle bracelets for everybody. It's like, what? Oh yeah, we're gonna have ankle monitors for everybody.
They all had ankle bracelets.
And I was like, all right, let's do it. Oh, we're gonna take this, we're gonna do that. And like, it's just like, there's no bottom to this. Just go. Whatever you think, do. Like, there's no like, this is too far. My buddy, who the one guy in the yellow suit,
Mhm.
Right.
he got married in that suit. And we were talking like it was a week or 2 before the race. And he was like, I was thinking about wearing that, but I think it's going to be too much. I'm like, if you don't wear that, I'm going to punch you in the mouth. Like, you have to wear that. Like you have, and he did it. And it worked. It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
So Miss Vicky often yells at me for being a robot and mathematically inclined. I do have one math question for our podcast. What percent of the people in your group did not have to buy anything for the theme? Over 50?
I mean, everybody brought stuff and then everything just kind of got made as it went. I mean, there wasn't a lot bought. I mean,
It was apparent. That's where I was going.
Like,
This was not a stretch for the group,
no, it was like, I think the chandelier we had from the house here that like with this old brass chandelier, like, what do we do with this? And stuff was like, I got an idea. I'm gonna make a hard. And so like somebody gave her a little wine bottle and she had all this like ornamental stuff she put in. It was great. It was great.
Oh my gosh. And then the freaking car.
Yeah.
The car was awesome.
The car was less than stock. Let's go with that. So
What do you mean? It was completely stock. Completely for anybody listening, any sex anybody, it was completely stock.
well, I'm not talking mechanically. I'm talking it's accoutrement.
Yeah.
The home game players, could we do a verbal on the car? Because there's lots of components to the way that this came together.
It was brilliant. It was so
so the
good.
car had somebody came up with the idea of having like sponsored decals on the side of the car, but instead of like having like, Hotchkiss and like we should do like all of the businesses out of the Sopranos.
Mhm.
So we had like the sanitation company, the Bada Bing, we had Vincent Gambino, attorney at law. We had the Tangiers Casino. We had Django Oil from The Godfather. Like we
I
were just
wasn't
going in the line of whatever we could get.
I wasn't sure
We
if
had a
you had
little
a
chandelier.
did you have a psychiatrist sponsor? I wasn't sure. I couldn't find it. I'm not saying you didn't have it.
I don't think we did. No,
Oh,
that's the one that I don't think we did because I don't. We're trying to figure out what other business we had. We probably should have had that one. I didn't think of it.
we
But
got
then,
time.
to top it off, I mean, if you're gonna think Italian, we really had to go. I always watch. Everybody always has like big stuff on their car and is like, I want a gold chain on the hood of this car, and I was like, God bless Amazon, just a big gold chain. I got 3 of them and then linked them together. And then we just had it zip tied to I think like the louvers on the behind under the wipers there, and then just ran it down to the grill, zip tied it on there. And then I don't know where we had it. Somewhere we had a wooden cross that like painted that gold, then hung that off the end of it. And so I was like, this is great. This is perfect. And then my buddy, one of the guys in the group was like, wait, I've got this like this black bathroom rug we could put on for chest hair. And I was like, but okay, how do we put this on? I was like, maybe we get some like 3M adhesive, we could spray it down and like lay it on, but I'm like, that thing gets hot, it's gonna let go. It doesn't set up in time, it's gonna be a problem. And this is, I think, Saturday morning, the day of the race. Like
Yeah, I didn't
no,
see it arrive that way when you pulled in Friday night.
no, it was Friday. It didn't have the hair on it Friday, and then
Yeah.
it was Friday. It must have been Friday during like right after tech. It was, I think it was before tech actually. We're trying to go over like what to do, and I was like, wait a second, I don't care about this car. I got rivets in the glove in the toolbox, so I start drilling holes into the hood to rivet it to the hood, and then I realized the rivet gun that I brought didn't have a shank big enough to hold the rivets in. I was like, what do I do? I was like, wait a second, I have zip ties. So we just went drilling holes,
Oh,
zip tying it down to the hood.
you,
And I
you
can tell you
stitched it.
so I stitched it into the hood. And I can tell you those zip ties only last 6 hours because at the end of the first day they broke it, at the end of the second day they broke it. But
If you
that
ever
was how we
need,
got to run with the giant chest piece on the hood. And it was a
The giant chest hair on top of the car.
it was a great look.
Oh my God. And when it was driving by and the hair was flipping in the air in the wind, oh, it was so perfect.
Yeah, it was a really good touch.
if you ever need large-headed rivets, we know a guy.
Yeah. I just thought it was absolutely hilarious because one person would go, hey, and all of a sudden your whole paddock would go, hey, the whole
Yeah.
paddock would erupt. Oh my gosh. I was just in tears at the other end of the paddock.
It was a good time. Like everybody really like played it up. Everybody really enjoyed it, and it's fun to we had a big group, so everybody just went ham with it. So it was a good time. It was a really good time.
Oh my gosh. It was brilliant. It really was.
So, so, so not that it matters, but how did the on-track stuff go?
It went great. I mean, everybody had a really good time. That was I told everybody like, oh, we have 10 drivers for the event, and like 10, like how you're not going to be competitive with 10. I was like, dude, there is no competitive in this. Like, we are not here to win. We are here to see if we can survive. Like, that's all I want. Can everybody go out? Does the car survive the day? And that's all I want. Like, can we get on track wheel to wheel and just piss our pants while we're driving? I mean, we were the slowest cars out there, minus maybe the Simca. Everybody's just blowing by us left and right, and we're just like, just stay out everybody's way, and we'll we get a chance, we'll play a little bit, and that's the best we could do. But everybody seemed to really enjoy it. The car did well. The feedback I got was really good. There's a couple things I got to adjust a little bit, but I mean, nothing over and above. The car seemed to do very well. It seemed to hold up. Now, again, we were only running 20-minute sets before we'd come back in. So it wasn't like it was out there for an hour at a time, but it still held up the whole time.
Yeah. Okay, so I have requests. I've been thinking about it hard. What you need is two wrought iron chairs and a nice wrought iron table. And you need two people to be sitting there with like a flask of wine and just camping there throughout the weekend. They can rotate, they can do anything they want. They can be the elder gentlemen who are just watching everything, and that would be very nice. I think they would add to the ambiance of the Gennaro paddock area.
We will put that in the show in the notes.
Okay, very good. And then I think we need to come up with more prototypical Italian sayings. Not that you guys weren't spectacular with the limited repertoire you had, but I think we need to take it another step. We need to go further.
I mean, I'm not opposed to it. Right now, it's there are a lot of talks of what to do for next year. So we have a base now. We know what to expect. We know what to do. So next year, we already have a theme in mind. We already have what we're going to do. So now the year starts to build on that.
Okay. All right. And then finally, there is a historically famous Lemons theme that involves one professional driver, Randy Popes. Now, what they did was they had a it's not a shower pole. It goes vertically. It goes vertically. It's not a shower pole. There's some other pole that goes vertically. And they had one Randy Popes in his race suit dance on the pole while going through tech. I'm thinking we could have a tribute to the Bada Bing. I'm just thinking. And it could be you could have the bada ding and have dudes doing it. That's fine. It's fine. Remember, if it's worth doing, it's worth
It's
overdoing.
worth overdoing.
Exactly. It's 100%. We can brainstorm. We're still working these things out. We got time. Thompson's what, a month away? We got time. We got plenty of time. Miss Vicky, you're the themer. What do you think? The
I
car
think
was great.
I mean, I think that they did an excellent job.
I know.
I think that
I'd be surprised if you ran that again that you weren't top two at least Halloween meets gasoline. So I would not be surprised whatsoever.
We're keeping the theme, like I said. It's going to be pretty low key until I think Jersey next year, and then we're going to go full tilt again.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Like I said, we have a plan in store for that already. So
Yep.
that is so great.
Yep. So you got Thompson this year. Anything else for this year?
I mean, aside from like I'm doing a couple track nights. The goal for this car, more so than the Lemons, was in the mini club. Everybody always talks about doing track events, but no one ever wants to take their car. Like,
Right.
they've got these brand new cars, or they've got, car they've cherished forever. They don't want to get it chipped up. They don't want to. And I was like, I'm going to build this car so somebody else can drive it. So it's got a second seat, second belts. So they want to take an instructor out. So what I'm hoping is I'm going to try to do a couple more track nights through the end of the year and get some other people out and just like, here's the car, go out and have fun. Like, just get your feet wet and like, the first one's friend, and you hook them in and you bring them in.
We've done that a few times, like 60 something times. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's fun.
So by the end of that race, your crew's reaction after you got home and what do we call it? The
Post race hangover.
Yeah, well, not just post race hangover. Once you get past post race hangover, which is a real thing,
Oh, it is.
how was their reaction to it all? The debrief of everything.
It was over. I mean, I still talk to people, like people who like come that I didn't get to talk to. I was like, what did you think? And everybody's like, that was the greatest thing I've ever done. It was like everybody. There's one guy that promised he'd only do it once, and I was like, yeah, once, okay. And I was like, when are we doing this again? Like, when are we doing this again? We have to do this again. We have to do this next year. We have to. We can't not do this. Like, it's everybody and their mother was like, it was such a great event for everybody. Everything went off, super smooth. Everybody got along really well. The team got along really well. Everybody, like I think it was like Monday. It was like, but while it's still fresh in your heads, what do we want to do? And, it's just, basic, everybody wants more seat time. Everybody wants to be, a couple little things we got to, streamline for pitting and things like that. But for the most part, it was like, we have to do this again. Like, and now I'm a little afraid I'm going to run into the issue of come next year, how many more people want to do this with us?
2 cars.
Build
No,
another car.
I don't know.
Like,
If you think one car, as
I
we
know which one
learned,
I want to use, but it's the is it going to happen or not? I don't know, but I know that I'll be there next year, and I'm sure I'll have at least half the team, if not all of them, back. But I know everybody wants more seat time. I mean, that's the biggest. I realized kind of after the fact that I was busy wetting my pants most of the time on track because there were guys sticking it where I couldn't imagine. And like after that 20 minutes, you're just about like, I'm just starting to get a feel for it. And it's like, all right, now we got to come in. So it's just, I want to get some better seat time in just to get it moving, which is why we're going to Thompson, just so I can get some more seat time in the car and just really like, let me push this thing and really feel it out.
How many are going to Thompson?
5.
Okay. That's plenty. I think for me, after you get settled in and everything, 3 is perfect. 4 is easy.
Yeah.
5 is starting to chop things up a little bit, but that's okay.
I was betting on 4. I was like, we can do 5. And it just was one of the way the chips fell. It was like, me, one of the other guys from the team, a friend of mine wanted to go, and then one of the guys from the team, the other guy from the team, had 2 of his buddies sign up, like kind of at the same time. I was like, oh, we'll do 5. 4 was kind of the magic number. 5 is great.
So I'd like to introduce you to somebody, Mike. I'd like to introduce you to my beautiful bride. On my screen, she's above, as always. She has this practice, and I believe her and her sister Jen are fairly obsessed with this practice. And this practice is once a year. They like to have an old ladies team.
Mm.
So I believe that approximately 50% of your attendees were of the much fairer female variety.
That's true.
I believe you are discounting the number of people you could have driving your cars by ignoring this, sir. Perhaps 3 cars.
If 1 is work, 2 is worse, 3 is
Just-
really
just-
tough.
just- Work with me, Vic. Just
All right.
remember, sir, if it's worth doing,
That is, I'm not opposed to that. But the problem I then run into is space.
oh, I know.
I've
Trust
got
me.
I've got a fairly large garage and I've got a fairly large driveway, and there's no space in it now.
Mm.
There are 6 project cars, 4 customer cars, my cars, her car. It's all
Soon to be
putting
one of
them
my
someplace.
cars. Just saying, just saying. I'm just saying, if you need to feed this monster, we are here for you, my friend. We can talk post podcast over several ideas that we can come up with for you to enjoy the track a little bit more. So that'll be fun. Miss Vicky,
Yes.
it's time.
Okay.
Wow, don't be so thrilled about it, my dear. You almost broke my eardrums during some of the Italian
Yeah.
job stories, and you're like, oh, okay. So we do this thing called the Fast and Furious Storytime questions, which have nothing to do with the Fast and Furious Fast and Furious movie, because that would be copyright infringement, and we have no money anyway. So sue us, whatever. And we talk about different types of questions that we have prepared for you, and I think we can get through a few of these on this episode, and it seems like we're going to have you on again. So we've got lots of these. So Miss Vicky, would you like to start?
Sure. Oh, what was the one car from your family that sticks out most in your mind when you were little?
For my family, that's an interesting one.
Or just when you were younger?
Yeah, so because my dad had a shop, we always had cars running. Like we had cars every 6 months. Just whatever he found, he put back together. Um, I think there might be 2 that really stick out as a kid. So at one point, my dad somehow got his hands on a 1959 Buick Century. And it was just, I remember like that was just super cool as a kid. Big fins, the lights, they had that really like, it was that red and like white and black, like vinyl seating, and the dash was super cool. I remember that. That thing was always really neat. And my grandfather had a 73 Jeep Wagoneer,
Oh, wow.
white and orange. And it would like I can see that truck in my head, and I just always liked that thing. When my grandfather had passed away, my dad got it, and he drove it for a couple of years, but it had like a 360 in it and all-wheel drive, and he's like, I can't afford to feed this thing in 1991. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It was a little thirsty then.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are I think the Buick's probably the biggest one that sticks out as far as like memorable cars.
Okay. Kind of close to the mini, heritage that you have. What is the best car color and worst car color?
Best car color. I'm going to go for the best color, the 1997 Ford Mystique. I always think that was cool.
The
That
Mystic
was
one?
that it was
The
Hmm?
color changing
Yeah.
Mystic one? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was really cool. The worst color, gold. Just
You're
I
getting a
never
gold mini soon, sir.
and I never liked them. I never
okay.
liked a gold car.
It's going to be wrapped. Don't worry.
Mhm.
I will prepare you for this car. California car. Zero. I mean, zero rust. I took off the rear hub, well, obviously, took off the rear hub to replace it because I was just thinking it would be. And I'm used to working on cars from around here. And I take off the rear hub and I take the
It
last
fell
bolt
off.
out. It falls on my foot and I got this black toe still. It's killing me. But anyway. All right, Miss Vicky. I'm done
Yeah.
complaining about dropping things
What's
with
the
my foot.
one thing no what's the one thing nobody knows about you that will surprise them?
I'm good at a yo-yo.
Ooh,
I'm gonna come to you and watch you do yo-yo.
you know we're bringing yo-yos to Thompson now.
Yeah.
That's fine. It'll have an Italian flag on the side. It'll be fine.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It'll be good. All right. All right. I've been outlawed to do the one that I always do. So let's see. So, where would your ultimate road trip be to and from, and in what car? You can bring people, obviously, or you can go by yourself, whatever you want.
The ultimate road trip, does it have to be,
Could be point to point, could be a circle, whatever you
does
want.
it have to be this continent?
Nope. Ultimate. We try to make things hard.
I mean, if it was me, I would go. I don't know where I would go. I know I would spend probably 6 months in Europe and then end up at the ring. Like that would be the ultimate goal, and then
Kind of fun.
drive the ring for a week straight.
It would cost you a couple of
Like,
dollars, but it's a toll road. It'll be fine.
there are some things worth it.
Hmm. What
If I
car?
was going to drive,
I mean, you got a lot of miles there. It can't be the
oh no. If I could pick anything, I would pick a car that someone built locally here, which is an E39 5 Series wagon that they pulled all the guts out of an M5 out of.
So it's an M wagon.
Yeah, like an M5 wagon, like just something big, comfortable, cruiser, makes a great noise, drives great, feels great.
Hmm. Sounds like a fun one.
Yeah.
I could work with that. Miss Vicky.
Mhm. So, what is your taproot car?
Who?
The car that got you into cars.
Herbie the Love Bug.
Oh,
I was rumored that when I was, you know, just about talking, just about walking, that if someone came over and mentioned Herbie, they would be watching it with me. Like I'd watch it 3 times a day, nonstop. And, I grew up a little bit, I didn't watch it as much. And then I think I was like 14 or 15, and like someone's like, I'll put it in. And something clicked, and it was like, oh yeah, this.
Are we talking black and white, or are we talking Lindsay Lohan here?
Oh, we're talking Peter Thorndike, Jim
Okay.
Douglas.
Okay. I was hopeful. I had hopes. Okay.
We're only talking 1, 2, and 3. We're not talking about bananas and everything after that because
Okay.
they're all garbage.
I'm with
Everybody
you.
loves bananas, and like that's the worst one. That's the one where Douglas turned his back on Herbie. Why are we talking about this?
How could he do that? All right. What car did you pass your driver's license in, and how did it go?
Oh, this is gonna suck. I took my driver's license in a no, it was a 96 Ford Windstar.
Oh,
And I
I have to
had
go look that up.
really
looks like a dustbuster.
and it was the gold Windstar, the champagne color.
Maybe that's
Whenever
why you
we
don't
had
like
the
gold.
green, we were the first ones to have the champagne, and then everybody had them. I took that test. I was the last one of the day,
Hmm.
and I literally went. I pulled out of the parking lot. I made a left into the shopping mall. I made a right to the light, a right onto the street, and then a right back into the shopping mall, and then a left into the parking lot. I think the whole test took me 30 seconds. The guy was just like, oh, "You're fine. Get out of here." That was it. And it showed it worked really well because 2 weeks later, I wrecked my first car.
That was going to be my follow-up question was what was your worst on track or off track accident, wreck, or incident?
That may not be it. He may have better than that.
Well, so I wrecked another one 6 months after that. So you can't really. Huh. The worst one. I haven't had on track. I've been pretty good. I haven't done anything stupid enough
so
yet.
screwed at Tom. You are so screwed at Thompson.
Of course. I mean, I've wrecked a handful of cars, but nothing like they were mostly fender benders. The first one I wrecked, it was having zero understanding of car handling characteristics. I was in a 87 celebrity two-door, and I was going down a road that it was a switchback downhill. The road had just been paved 2 months prior in the rain with leaves on the ground.
Oh, that's lovely.
And I decided to see how fast I could take the turn.
Nice.
And of course, I pushed through the first one and I hit a tree at probably 20 mile an hour. It wasn't much, like it was enough to fold the bumper and crack the header. But when it hit, the tail came over and hit the quarter into another tree, and that told the thing out. So that was the end of that.
Wet leaves are no fun, sir.
I don't think I've had anything terribly traumatic or I've blocked it out at this point. I've had a couple pucker moments, but nothing major.
Okay.
I've done a lot of stupid stuff on Tail of the Dragon, but I've always come back okay on that one.
Oh, you were on the Tail of the Dragon?
We used to go every year with the mini club. So
Get out.
first weekend in May is Minis on the Dragon, and I've been going since 2005. So yeah, I think there's 2 years that I've missed. One was work, and I didn't go last year because I was doing lemons because it's right there with it. And I didn't want to do both. But yeah, I've been down there a lot, and I love it down there. Yeah, I've just I've bent some sheet metal. That's about the worst I've done. I haven't had anything really terrible, so I'm sure I'm due.
Oh, keep that up. That'll be fun.
I don't have that drive of like, I'm gonna try this. Like, I need to get this. Like, I'm gonna have fun. I want to go home.
Exactly. Okay, so NJMP was your first race, correct?
My first actual race, yes.
Okay, so what car would you love to switch into that you raced against? And if you
The
choose
Buick.
the big one,
the Buick Attic, or whatever it is, the 38 Buick.
The Buick.
I think that thing to me was one of the coolest things running on that, or the Cadillac that had the LS and turbo LS. That just looked like a ball of fun. But the Buick to me was that every time I saw that go by, it made me smile. That thing was just so cool.
It wasn't out there when I was out there. Vicky, does it still have your drawing on the back, yours and Jen's drawing on the back, or did it take that off?
Yeah, it did.
Oh, it does?
did.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because was that a Bob
Oh, the
Ross?
Buick?
The Buick, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Jennifer did that.
Was that a Bob Ross penalty, or was that
It was no.
It was
She
just for
wanted a
fun.
Bob Ross when she brought it the first year. She wanted a Bob Ross painting on the back, and I'm like, okay. So we made arrangements, and we literally had like part of the paddock kind of roped off a little bit behind us, and we were just sitting there eating margarita popsicles and drinking, and her and I were just painting on the back of this car in the after hours at the party.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then she wanted a narwhal. So narwhal.
I saw that on that. I wonder that went on after.
What we call the great mountain, the Great Smoky Mountain narwhal.
There you go.
Yeah. So all right. This is my last one.
Yep, you're last.
What is that one car that got away? Do you have one?
Yes. So when I was in high school, I restored a 70 Volkswagen Beetle auto stick.
Nice.
And I love that car. It was great. And I had it for probably 5 or 6 years, drove the piss out of it. And it was like, okay, I'm done.
It's time.
And I sold the car to a movie company. It's in a movie now, or was. And I came home I drove it to New York to a guy in Brooklyn, drove home, opened the laptop up and started looking like, okay, what am I going to find? And there sat a 1963 Volkswagen Beetle with the sliding top to build my Herbie. Body is off the pan. The pan is done. The body's in primer. And it was in Lancaster. And it was $4,500.
Wow.
And it was so it happened so fast that I hesitated. And I called him, I think, the next day, and it was gone. It was my white whale that I always looked after. And it wasn't until this year I finally bought a Beetle.
Nice.
My 63 sliding ragtop. So that is my next project, big time. And the goal with that is to build my Herbie, build a monster car that I can go play with. One day put it on track and relive that, being on track with everybody in this little car.
Sounds awesome. I can't wait to see it. I want to follow. All right. Before we start talking about plans after the podcast, if for the rest of your life you could only daily drive and build race cars from one decade in the past, what 10-year period would you choose? You don't have to choose like 60 to 70. You can choose like 42 to 52. You could do
Yeah,
any.
that's a weird one.
Mhm.
Oh, I'd probably go 95 to 2005.
Huh. Why is
I
that?
think that the technology came around so much that the reliability became apparent. The tools are there for it. The support is there for it. And there was still a lot of neat stuff. A lot of just really cool cars came out in that time. Uh, to me, I like that. To me, is kind of the heyday of like what I look at it like. My peak. Growing up and watching cars. You're watching the Impala SS. You've got the CTS. You've got the these cool wagons that were out. You've got the Caprices that I still love to this day. Just all that kind of cool GM hardware. The Vipers, that kind of like. There's just a lot of neat stuff in that time period that came out. I was like, these are really cool cars, and it was just getting to the point of like they just gotten the fuel injection down. They just gotten a lot of the systems were getting good before the second half. I guess the emissions stuff started to hit, and then they started really cramping down on it again. Not that they still could make power, but there was a lot more complication to it.
Yeah, the computers were there, but not really there. So,
Yeah, like you could still work with them. They weren't. Everything wasn't sealed up.
mhm. Sounds like fun. I think we can do
Yeah.
that. We can play with those. All right, sir. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. But if people want to follow along and see some of this Italian job greatness, where would they do that?
That's a good question. I have a Facebook group set up for it, but I realized I set it to private when I first set it up, and now I can't set anybody like I can't undo it. Um, I mean,
Should be able to.
I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram. That's about it, I think. The Instagram is still for my wagon. It's 1954 Lindy.
Okay.
So if they want to check it out there, that's great. The Facebook is just Mike Marzo. You'll see it pop up. But yeah, it's there's also I have a Facebook page for my hobby. It's Marzo's Mini Rescue. There's always some stuff every now and then I put something up there. I don't put a lot there because I'm usually too busy working with everything else. But yeah, there's options.
Excellent. Well, we can't wait to bump into you again in the paddock, at least, but not on the track at
Yeah.
Thompson. That should be great fun. And wanted to thank you for coming on. It was great having you.
Thanks for inviting me.
No problem, sir. You have a great night.
You the same.